Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as we're going to have plenty of things to talk about today. Razorback basketball practice is actually happening here in about 2 hours, so looking forward to being out there and catching up with that, to which we'll have a Pot at the Palace post-game, post-practice, post-reaction live. Curtis is going to be heading that up, but we're going to have that for you. We're going to talk some football today and talk about all the things going on in the sports world, get to our heavy hitters presented by HD Roofing and Construction, some Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas summer topics of discussion. But fellas, how's the hump day? How's the Wednesday? How we feeling today?
That's how I feel, boys. That's how I feel right there. Cracking open a cold one. It's a liquid death. Not a beer yet. Don't worry about it. Man, it's been a long 36 hours around my parts. Just stuff, that happens in life and catches up to you, overwhelms you a little bit. But bouncing back so far, so good today. And this is like Christmas in July for sure for a guy like me. Somebody last week said, "Hey, Curtis, you think John Calipari is ever going to open up practice to the media?" And I think I said, hell no. I'd never in a million years thought that was going to happen. Here we are. I can't believe it. Did we bully them into doing this? Maybe. I don't care. We give the people what they want. John Calipari gives the people what they want. So I'm very, very excited and grateful that we get to go check this thing out today.
Yeah, I'm also feeling good today. I'm only a little bit salty that you guys are going to have so much fun at practice, hanging out and being friends and watching the boys play ball and all that. I'm sure y'all will have a great time and y'all don't need me, but I'll be over here. I'll be like Squidward watching from afar. But I'm full of love on today's podcast, and I can't wait to show it to you guys and share it with everyone, all of our listeners. And it's a beautiful day in the state of Arkansas, as is every day.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And that's what makes this time of year fun. I know anytime we have some random content that gets put up, like basketball practice, for instance, like it's always just like Christmas morning, like, oh, yes, this is great. Get to have some stuff that we can talk about and have some fun with. So we're going to have that, and we're going to have a lot more too. And, some of the football stuff too, with articles being released, I think is going to be pretty interesting. But just as far as a practice it goes, I know you talked about this on Pot at the Palace, Curtis, and everything, but just in general, if there was one thing that we all would like to see, just if we know what the practice probably will be, but just like the one thing that we're going in, be like, I got to see this. I want to see this. I want to see whether it's plays, scrimmages, if someone's actually the weight that they have listed, something like that. Like, what is it that we want to see in this?
Oh my goodness, man. How am I to pick one thing? How about everybody participating? Since they had so many injuries last year, we never got to see that. But no, honestly, I think it's got to start with the newcomers. And for me, it's those two freshman guards, man. Like, do they look the part? Because the first impressions are everything to me. And when you walk into the gym, sometimes you look at guys like this and you go, oh yeah, they're freshmen. Sometimes you go in there and you look around and you go, wow, these guys don't look like freshmen at all. And everything I've heard, particularly about Darius Acuff, is just how the way this dude looks, the way he carries himself, his approach to everything is just advanced for his age, from a skill set to a mindset and everything in between. I want to see him look the part, because everything inside of me is saying this could be John Calipari's next, Cal guard. And we haven't had that just yet at Arkansas. And I think Darius could be the one. So my eyes are going to be directly focused on him as soon as we walk in there. I hope he balls out, or if it's not him, then somebody kind of fills those shoes. I want to walk out there and come back and do the live stream a little bit later this afternoon and go, this guy looked the part. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I feel like this type of setting is tailor-made for us to overreact to our first impressions of some of these guys. And for that, it's going to be a lot of the newcomers, because Darius or DJ Wagner, we've seen him play a lot of basketball. There's not a ton for us to learn about his game here. Hell, even someone like Carter Knox, who's still earlier in his career, there's not a ton to learn about him right now. But I think those newcomers, and Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas in particular, are the ones that certainly are going to catch the attention of everybody. And they're the ones that caught my eye in the practice clip that we saw. But one thing that I'm interested to see is the leadership dynamics. I mentioned DJ Wagner. He's a guy who should be carrying himself like a leader, should kind of have that old vet unk mentality and have that, you see him being probably the most vocal one talking to the team. I'm interested to see some of that stuff of like who stands out Who's the voice that everyone listens to? Do some of those older returning guys, because we talked a lot about the continuity. A lot of times when we're doing this first practice, there's 9 newcomers, and we're like, who's good, who's not, who's doing what? It's going to be cool to see some of those returning guys and see how is their mentality change? How is their leadership role on the team change? Is Carter Knox a little bit more vocal? Is DJ Wagner really setting that tone and getting everybody in line? I think we'll be able to pick up on some of those dynamics in a setting like this today.
Yeah, and I think also just looking at a comparison to a year ago, because that's kind of what I always go into something like this when it's off season or summertime, springtime, whatever it is, but just comparisons of what it looks like, what changes. Is there a different approach? Is there a different vibe? Is there a different mentality? And to me, it's going to be fascinating. Not that I've been to a bunch of basketball practices, but fascinating where a year ago, brand new coach and pretty much brand new team. You had Trevin Brazil, who was the only holdover, and then Lawson Blake, but brand new team, new players that we had seen, but players that we also were interested in and hadn't really seen much of. You had the freshmen coming in. And now this year is completely different, where not only do you have Cal back another year, so the newness of John Calipari as the coach has kind of settled in, but the fact that you already have 4 guys from last year's team, contributing players from last year's team, there, settled. It's like, hey, we're not going in there being like, golly, I wonder what the chemistry's going to look like. What does this guy look like with this guy? It's just nice. And even with the much years, I know that there was some times where they had a good amount of players come back, but it's such a rare thing where I'm going to walk in and be like, oh yeah, these guys are back from last year. I get to see the team again as almost the same type of players. And they added some new pieces that'll be fascinating, but that's going to be the whole dynamic where it's almost like if you did the 4 and 4 and 4 type of deal of each player. It's like you got the 4 returnees, you got the 4 transfers, and you got the 4 freshmen, which I know that numbers are different from that, but you get what I'm saying. Like you have these sects of people that are coming in, and I think that's going to be the cool thing about it is there's no newness, there's no uncomfortable awkwardness. Not to say that there was last year, but just you got the settled foundation, and now it's just a matter of building it up and seeing how they vibe together and what it looks like going in.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of the reason why there's so much hype and anticipation about this team is because of what they're bringing back. The 4 key contributors off of that Sweet 16 team. And when I think about that, to me, when we walk in there today, as far as summer practices are concerned, at least, should be a pretty well-oiled machine. I mean, it should be organized. Guys should be getting to their spots. There shouldn't be a whole lot of I even remember this during the tip-off tour in Pine Bluff. Like Cal would kind of stop them and be like, hey, what are you doing? No, we do this. And it was a whole lot of talking because these guys still didn't know exactly what the heck was going on. Well, now, not only do you have, like you said, John, Cal's in his second year. He's comfortable. The entire coaching staff is back. You got the 4 contributors back from last year. You also got guys like Jaden Carletwa and Aiden Kelly, who were there every single day at practice with the team, who knows what's going on. So it's like half of your roster who's already been there and done that. And the other guys, it's like, hey, get in where you fit in and get comfortable. So from that standpoint, I hope when we go in there that it's, less standing around and less teaching. And there's going to be some of that, but more just getting after it. And guys who are playing instead of thinking so much because they already know what they're supposed to be doing. When that happens, that's when you start to get a little bit more juice in there, a little bit more pop in the gym. When you have these practices in the summer, it's a lot of drills. It's a lot of skill development, and they'll send the guards on one end and the big man on the other, or split them up between the different baskets in there in the gym. And sometimes it gets a little not dead, but there's just not as much energy in there. But you can tell when a team's got a little bit of pop and when they're dialed in and locked into what they're doing. And so I hope we walk out of there today kind of feeling like that's what we saw from this bunch.
Yeah, I mean, how many times last year, whether it was during the summer, during the lead up to the season, or even during the season, did Cal cite we weren't really able to do stuff in practice. We weren't really able to run 5-on-5, and we heard that a lot. And I'm sure that played a role in why we never saw this team practice. And I even think back to some of those must years where we got to go and see practice, some that were like right around the time of the tip-off tour or the overseas tour. Even then, there were always 1 or 2 guys out with injury, or whether it was KK Robinson, Mekhi Mitchell, or whoever. This might be the healthiest we've seen a Razorback team. Now, of course, we're seeing them at a different time. And so maybe, like you said, a well-oiled machine, Curtis. And you would definitely expect, you want to be able to see, okay, it's year 2. You've got some returners that can set the tone. You have some players who can communicate that message. So it should be a lot quicker figuring that out. But is this the earliest we will have seen a Razorback team practice compared to some of those previous years?
I think so, man, because it was right at the beginning of fall camp when they went over to Europe. So it was like the last week of July, I want to say, when we got to go see that Must team that year. And we definitely weren't getting summer practice availability before that. So usually it was the first day of official practice at the end of September or whatever. So this is definitely the earliest that we've seen a group.
Well, and I know that with Cal, as we saw in the times we did get a chance to see maybe a practice or what he was doing in the tip-off, but also in the documentary, the Vice documentary that they did of Razor's Edge, get to see him in those elements. And that's also always been fascinating is as coaches, when we see Muss, there was times he said a lot of colorful words, and it's more of one of those awkward things where you just look at the wall where they're like, oh, well, we're just going to be over here if you need anything. But, what is Cal going to do as far as pushing them, or is it going to be more reserved? Is it going to be chill? Is it going to be relaxed? I mean, there's just a lot of it, and a lot of those questions that hopefully get asked a little bit today and answered a little bit today. But yeah, it's going to be starting at 2:00 will be the practice, goes to about 3:20. Then a press conference will be held after that, and we'll have all the details for you with a post.
You guys know it would be funny, and I hope they don't do this because I want to see him play basketball for all 75 minutes that we're in there. But if Cal made him do that 20 for 20 or 20/20s, whatever it is, all those sprints at the end of practice in front of media, and we can just watch those guys throw up into trash cans, and that would be fun.
I want to see someone get chewed out the way that we saw Chance Moore get chewed out by Eric Musselman a few years ago, where he was like just telling him and I think he might have been the only freshman that year or something like that. Maybe there was 2 or something like that, but he was one of the few. And so he was kind of the odd man out. I want to see some of that. Like Isaiah Sealy. I feel like he's the guy. I want to see him getting chewed out for doing something stupid as a freshman.
I would love that. Yeah. Chance Moore used to get the business. Nobody ever came close to him. A distant second was probably Joseph Pinion. Man, that dude he was getting lit into all the time. And then, like the Mitchell twins, but of course.
As 50-year seniors.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you guys ever have that? Just remind me when I was a kid growing up, whether it was in elementary school, there was always that one kid that got in trouble, got yelled at by the teachers. Even if he wasn't really, if he was doing something that everyone else was doing, it's just like that kid, we're going to yell at him. That's how I feel like sometimes of these players where everybody's screwing up, but they just start yelling at somebody there on the court. Hey, Pinion! It's like everybody else is screwing around, but it's Pinion that gets yelled at. I'm hoping for that too. Which go ahead, Andrew.
Who used to be getting yelled at, but is not going to be getting yelled at when y'all see him today? Is Trevin Brazil, who no longer has long hair. He's buzzing it up. I think I want to see a little bit of maturity from Trevin Brazil. I mentioned some of the older guys that are returning that should be kind of setting that tone. And I know Trevin Brazil is not necessarily the big rah-rah leader of the group, but I would love to see him look like an adult because he is a damn adult. So I would love to see him at this practice really, pulling guys aside, whispering in their ear and setting that tone. Because he really was a few years ago. He was one of those guys who was, didn't really know where to go, didn't really know where he fit in, was kind of hesitant, kind of tentative, and was probably getting chewed out at practice a good bit. I now want to see the 22-year-old version of Trevin Brazil look like an adult.
Yeah, it would be nice. In fact, here was the video that got posted yesterday in case you haven't had a chance to see it. But content on the socials. How about that? I'm going to have to mute this because I know we're going to get demonetized. But look at that. Layups.
Did everyone change their number, by the way? Like every single player on the team has a different number.
Sealy, yep. Casual.
Man,
like Billy Richmond, is he number 45 now?
I don't like it. They cuff so
Pops.
smooth, man.
Oof.
I like it.
They cuff is so smooth.
All I needed. That's all I needed in life right there.
That was great. Just 21 seconds. We didn't even have to have all that to quench our thirst, and they did that. I'm very grateful that they did. I've given them a lot of crap, whether it's on this show or the Pod the Palace or whatever. So I took some time this morning and thanked them for doing the Lord's work, and for Cal for over delivering. It's the thing with this, man. We're learning here slowly but surely. I know BBN's like rolling over in their graves or whatever, but he always delivers, man. And it might not be as fast as we want him to do it or in the way that we want him to do it. And sometimes we get frustrated, just like, dang, man, are they ever going to, round out the roster? Are they ever going to announce some games on the schedule? What are they doing? Are we ever going to get a practice clip? But then they do it and you're impressed. Like you get more than you were asking for every single time. And hope that continues. Like when they get to the season, that would be pretty sweet, but shout out to him for coming through again, man.
Yeah, well,
every
it's
single
funny because
time.
on Monday we said we were like, it's not like it's going to take like this crazy. We're not asking for that much. We just want like a few clips. They gave us a few clips, and we responded very well. And now you're getting to full practice. And like you said, Cal always delivered. And it's about just giving people what they want. When people desperately want to be a part of your program, they want to share it with you. They want to see it more of you. Like I definitely think there's something to that. And you saw the response. I mean, everyone was thrilled when they saw it. All it took was just a few clips, and we're like, oh. Hell yeah, man. But this time of year, man, that's what we need.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give my prediction of something that Cal says in his press conference. I know it's probably not too hard to predict, but I feel like he's going to say something to the extent of, I have 4 contributors from last year. 4. You know how many other teams I've had 4 contributors? Does anybody? How many times have I had at least 4 players come back? It doesn't happen very often. He's going to say something about that. So I can't wait. Can't wait to hear from the man.
Dude, he's going to be playing the hits today. I can't wait for it. And there are some things that, that he's definitely going to be asked about that matter, like are you guys done with the roster? And I assume after they added Aiden Kelly back on there that they probably are. Kind of felt like maybe they would be, or they would add something ancillary, but he'll get asked. We'll see if the 2 new additions are there or not, Paolo and Elmer. I don't think they are, but they might be. So we'll see. And if they're not, maybe we can get some sort of update on them. Don't hold your breath though, people, because I don't know about their official signed and enrolled status yet. So like if all that paperwork's not, done and submitted and everything, he can't fully speak on it. So there'll be some things that we ask him, but he's going to be playing the hits, man. You could see on the email, and it's basically like, these are the subjects that are going to be covered. And it's like, the 25-26 team, the NBA draft, the NBA finals. It's like, okay. So he's going to go up here and talk about the $6 billion that his boys have made. I got you.
Well, and I feel like it's like, it's kind of, you can kind of tell that it's at that finalization point of like, this is the team, this is the roster. Would they have let Coach Z, would they given him the green light on his roster breakdown if the roster wasn't complete? I feel like they wouldn't.
Right.
And they wouldn't invite people to practice if the team wasn't, or at least they didn't know. Now, you mentioned the guys that may or may not have finished that paperwork yet, but they know what the team is.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, we'll get into some of your chats and talk basketball because I know we'll have some football to talk about. I know. We will talk some football today, but want to remind everybody that here on the show, we're brought to you by our friends of Hickey and Hole Law Partners, which we're excited to have them on board for the rest of the year here at Inside Arkansas, which we know that divorce and custody cases are far too important to try and face alone. Let Hickey and Hole Law provide you with the persistent, diligent representation to help guide you through the entire process, where they have handled thousands of family law cases and have experience in nearly every scenario that has ever come up, where we know that every single case that they take is important and they strive to give each of them the utmost time and care that it deserves. They understand that it's crucial to their clients that they keep them updated on their cases and that they may be available to provide advice and counsel throughout the entire process. So Hickey and Hole have offices across the state of Arkansas in Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Little Rock, and Mena. You can call them today at 479-434-2414, or you can check out their website. Visit hickeyandhole.com or scan the QR code right there on your screen. It's Hickey and Hole Law. Things are about to get better. All right, so a few of your basketball chats here, folks, because I know people are excited about basketball, and rightfully so. But let's see. We'll have this from Finch. He says, can we get a possible starting 5 pre-practice and maybe see if y'all change your minds after you go to practice?
I like this. I like this a lot. I will tentatively stick with what I put out on the pod a few weeks ago, like before they started summer practice. And I had Darius Acuff, DJ Wagner, Carter Knox, Trevin Brazile, and Malik Ewan. And I still feel pretty strongly about that, although I have a feeling we might walk out and there's going to be some debate at the center spot, and there are going to be a couple guys, Billy Richmond being one of them, where we're really starting to go, maybe. And so maybe this gets a little bit more, a little bit tighter than it looks like on paper right now.
So if you're putting Billy in, because I agree on that being like the 5 of, Carter at the 3 or wherever you want to call it, and then Wagner and Acuff at the backcourt. So if you're putting Billy in, does that mean you're taking Trevin out or Ewan out, or are you taking one of those guards out? Like maybe Acuff would.
I just don't know. And that's the one thing, because when I was doing my projected starting lineup, I brought Billy up at the time. This was before I started hearing like every day somebody else is texting like, "Hey man, Billy's killing it at practice. Hey, he's gotten bigger. He's more explosive. He looks good. The shot's coming along," which I can't wait to see all those things today. But that was kind of my thing. It just makes more sense from a rotation standpoint to me for Billy to come off the bench, because he can come off and he can replace Carter and play the 3, or they could slide Carter down or whatever and do some 4 guard stuff. Or, and I ain't promoted now, but they could throw him in there and let him play some point guard. He's versatile, so he can do a number of things in there. It just makes more sense for him to come off the bench and then just plug him in where he's needed, as opposed to starting him, and it gets a little bit more complicated at that point.
You don't like the idea of forcing the freshman Darius Acuff to earn his stripes?
I don't mind the idea. I think he's going to wind up being their best player, maybe, but we know Cal, man. He's going to start at least one freshman, right?
It certainly ain't going to hurt his feelings to throw a freshman in there.
No, not at all. Also, Finch says, I don't know about y'all, but I really love the idea DJ on the ball. Seems to be able to be trusted with the rock when it counts. And as he stated, his leadership, I almost like the idea of Acuff at 2 instead.
Well, I feel better about, I mean, DJ was better when he was on the ball last year. And I don't know if that was because the dynamic was weird with him and Boogie, or if it just so coincided with Nelly kind of figuring out what his role was going to be. I feel okay with him being on the ball. He's going to be at times. He's also going to be off the ball. Like they didn't bring Darius Acuff in here to play him at the 2 guard all season. But part of that's going to be how well does Acuff shoot it? Because if he comes in and he's a above average 3-point shooter, then you feel better about those minutes where you play those 2 together and you've got DJ on the ball and him running off those floppy screens. So,
and the shooting is obviously a big deal here. And like you said, Acuff is probably going to be a better 3-point shooter than DJ Wagner, just based on what DJ's done in his career. But I will say, like, I think when people think of like on ball versus off ball, that, you're going to have your point guard and then the 2 guard is just going to be like Klay Thompson. He's going to be like just a classic,
right,
2 guard that's playing off ball and doing all this. And there is going to be plenty of that floppy action, but I also think both of those guys, even when they're playing on the floor together, are going to be sharing ball handling responsibility and playmaking. And there's just other things you have to, obviously you got to be able to knock down open shots. And really both those guys need to show that capability regardless. But I also think there's plenty of room for both those guys to basically do a 2-point guard type of thing, even when they're on the same floor.
That's 100% true, man, because really in that I don't know how many times I'm going to say floppy. It's already been way more in my life than I intended to, but hey, it's what they call it. But a lot of times it is the guy who starts off ball who winds up being the one that makes the play. Like he picks, do I come off the single or the double? And the point guard just picks his side and gets it to him. And then it's usually the 2, whoever's off the ball, who gets it and then gets to operate off the ball screen or in the dribble handoff or whatever. So regardless of which one of those guys it is, there's going to be playmaking opportunities for both of them, to your point.
Let's see. Also, Lane says, bold, maybe not prediction, that Pringle and Ewan will be top 5 big man duo in the country.
Pringle?
That'd be fun.
Pringle?
It'd be fun.
Could happen.
They like Pringle, man.
They look good in the video.
He did look good in the video.
Well, let's be honest, guys. I mean, sometimes it's just about having an elite level, better coach to put you in a good position. And so, maybe that's just all it takes for Pringle, is just he needed the best coach that there is in the country to help him out and put him in that position.
I'll go ahead and tell y'all right now, and this isn't even a prediction. This is a spoiler. In the non-conference, Nick Pringle is going to have some really, really good games where he's just too big and too physical for some of these smaller teams that have a 6'7" center. I think he's going to have some like 14-9 games against bad competition, and it will force people to like kind of be like, oh damn, Nick Pringle's like a real go-to guy. And I don't think that's the conclusion, because it's gonna, you're gonna face better, bigger, true big men in the SEC. And not saying he can't stack up against those, but he's not going to be a go-to guy against those guys. But I think early on, his physicality is going to be imposing for some of those teams you play early on, because Arkansas played a couple teams that really just didn't have any size last year.
It feels like if he's relied on to kind of be a guy, a go-to type of dude, you're not as good as you thought you were.
Sure.
But if he can play his role where it's, kind of platoon or the backup big man minutes, and he's going to play plenty, then it's a very, very quality backup big man to have. Malik Ewan is going to he's more skilled offensively. Dude's got a deep bag. He's very, very gifted on that end of the floor. And then the question will be, does he play enough defense to really command a bunch of the minutes, whatever. But I do like the way these two complement each other. Like, you got the guy you can dump it into. He'll give you a bucket. You got the guy who will come in there and knock the hell out of somebody and be an enforcer. And they both rebound really well, offensive and defensive glass. So I think it's maybe not as versatile of a tandem as what you had last year with, Z's ability to stretch it out and shoot it or whatever. Jonas, probably a better team defender at the 5 than either one of the guys that you have right now, but they weren't healthy. And their limitations impacted their ability to play on a lot of different occasions there. So I do think that Arkansas upgraded at the center position. I'm anxious to see what it looks like. I don't know if you can play them together a ton. Cal probably will try, but I like what they have there.
You probably can't play them together, but that's why Trevin has to continue to be the Trevin we saw down the stretch. Because Trevin, when he's playing at his best, can play with either of those guys. Like, he can stretch the floor. He can bring, that versatility that you said that is kind of missing. And so, yeah, I think Trevin's going to be even more important than, because I think he's got to be able to play with both those dudes.
Let's see a few more chats here too. Finch also comes and says, y'all talking about Cal and delivering reminds me of last year. Let's just think back to about how we were so hungry for that team to be involved with the fans. Very thankful for this awesome culture that they have.
It's very cool.
I agree.
Yeah.
Did we save Arkansas basketball? Maybe.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Shout out to Dabbing Rhino. It's been a while, Dabbing Rhino. Appreciate the super chat. Says LFG boys, long time no see. Been working like crazy. Hope all is good with y'all. WPS, keep up the great work. I assume that's all what you wrote down, but yes, we appreciate it. It's good to see you too, Dabbing Rhino.
Yeah, I've seen a handful of people pop in today and say, I've been out, haven't been able to listen. Here I am, tap back in. I saw Trey R was in there earlier with the chat and said he's back. So good to see everybody.
Yeah.
Is today just a skip work day or what?
It should be.
Nobody's working today.
It is Christmas in July and nobody should work.
That's true. That's true. Also got this from Finch. Says Carter going to be our best 3-baller this year.
Maybe. It's either going to be him or Malik Thomas. I mean, Trevin, but I don't know that he's going to be, if there's going to be enough volume to really call him that guy.
Why not all three? Just make all three of them be really good at 3-point shooting. And then everyone wins. Everyone
I like the way
wins.
that sounds.
Yeah. Alan also says, Cal major transition from radio, very popular baseball to the World Series. Congratulations to all of you. Timing is everything. Indeed it is. Indeed it is everything. So we'll take it.
Well, if we wound the clock back a little bit further, you would really, really believe in the timing is everything aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I love that the further away we get from it, we're going to be able to say, we're like, yeah, it just was perfect. There was no, we can just ignore that first 6 months.
Yeah. Just ignore it and blow it up and then everything's fine. Also to Trey R, who's in the chat for first time in a while, but he said, are we deeper this year than last year? I feel like the 8-9 guys this year may be better than what they were last year.
It's hard to say, man, because if last year's roster, if all 9 of them were healthy and available all year, I might slightly lean towards them. Now, I don't think college basketball as a whole is as good and as deep and as talented as it was a year ago. So I like this team's odds a little bit better. It's very, very close to me, but just looking at it, if I walk out there today and they've got their top 8 or 9 guys on the floor playing basketball, then I'll automatically answer the question, yes. Because this time last year, Jonas was in a boot and Nelly was falling off golf carts. And I know Adu had the hamstring and Trevin was in and out with the back. And it was like, good grief. Like Andrew said, they couldn't do anything all summer. They didn't have 5 guys. They were practicing against graduate assistants and whoever else. They might've been borrowing Mike Neighbors players for all I know. So if they stay healthy, then yeah, sure.
Why not? Also, just wanted to read this by Sweet Arkansas gal because it just made me laugh. She said, side note, Dairy Queen strips and fries are awesome. Heated up in the air fryer as a lunch listening to y'all. So
underrated chicken strip basket at Dairy Queen. She knows ball. That's a real, you got to be a real vet to know that.
The best thing about it too is you can get that little gravy to dip it in.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Game, yeah, it's a game changer when that happens too. Which we're gonna have some fun with actually some food talk, of course, in our summer topics here in just a second. But I guess also this from Big KG says Mark Pope said his game plan is 33s a game. Do we see us shooting that many or more of an orchestrated offense play calling rather than just trigger pulling?
Boy, I would love to say Arkansas is going to shoot 33s, but I think we just know they're not. In fact, Cal, I think there was a game where they shot 24 or 25, and he was like, that's too many. Yep. And now I think 24, 25 is probably about where they'll end up. I would love to see Arkansas maybe push the envelope a little bit and make that more of a point of emphasis. But Curtis, let's play a game real quick. Let's
Okay.
try and find the 3-point attempts. Like, let's say
That-
Carter takes 5 threes a game. DJ takes 3, 4.
3-ish. Yeah,
Like-
probably so. And 5 might be healthy for Carter even. He was 35 for 100, I think is what it was last year. So he was a little under 3 per game. So he'd be almost doubling his attempts. Trevin, he's good for 2 to 3 a game, but I don't think it's ever going to be anything crazy. Like, you really need, it all comes down, in my opinion, to Malik Thomas and Darius Acuff. Especially Malik Thomas, because he's the guy who profiles as a sniper. He was shooting like 9 threes a game in the overtime elite thing. This is different, but can he get 5 to 6 of them up per game? But that's where I'm at. I could see a world where they're better percentage wise, but they're just kind of about where they've always been with volume.
Yeah, I would. The only way I could see 33s ever getting taken in a game is if Arkansas makes like their first 10 and Cal's just like, yeah, keep going. Just keep going.
Think about some of those games where Nelly Davis was, going 2 of 11 from 3, and then they only shot 19 or something as a team. You had one guy taking all of them. So I don't know, man. And you had Big Z at times who would shoot 8 threes as a 7'2" guy,
Yeah, I don't think Acuff or Wagner are going to replicate the amount of threes that Nelly took. And that was pretty much all he did.
Right.
Yeah, I could see that happening too. We'll continue it. Again, appreciate everyone's chats and getting in here on the show. But want to remind everybody that we're doing our vibe check presented by our friends over at Basis Health in Arkansas, which we know that they're changing the way healthcare is delivered by providing mobile medical visits to the comfort of your very own home. Doctor will come to your home for urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and so much more. It's Basis Health. They're here for you when and where you need them the most. You can learn more at basishealth.org today. All right, so continuing on here with a few more chats as well, because a lot of people want to talk basketball, especially Finch, apparently.
We already did this one.
Oh, yeah, we already did that one. Sorry, that was the one I wanted to click. It was this one. Think they will let some of y'all do some post-practice questions like they did in the tournament games. I mean, I guess he's talking about the players. All we know is that Cal's doing a press conference, but I don't know. I have my doubts.
Yeah, if I understand correctly, we'll get to talk to a couple players, but it's not going to be the cool way that we did, where we can just kind of go up to them in their lockers or whatever and get solo interviews. They'll have 1 or 2 guys that they'll put up at a table, and it'll be like a standard press conference type of deal.
They did that cool thing one year where they just had them all spaced out in the gym.
That was
like walk up to them. That was cool.
It's like you got a half hour go, and that was a lot of fun. We split that up, and it's good.
Man, miss those days. And it's just a shame because somebody like Carter Knox with his his quotes and whatnot. I think it's
kill, celebrate, kill again, celebrate, kill again.
That came from a cool little press conference or a little interview thing in a locker room. So we're gonna miss out on those things. Because I think players can feel a lot more comfortable if it's just like that instead of being up on a table in front of a bunch of people. They can let loose a little bit more.
I'm gonna predict that it's DJ Wagner and Nick Pringle that they send up there today.
Okay. Well, for sure, Wagner.
Yeah, guaranteed.
I mean, that's a guarantee.
And I would think they would give us a newcomer, and it probably won't be a freshman right away. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably as predictable as what the SEC football media days group that Arkansas was taking was. I mean, just everyone knew it was going to be Taylor Green and Cam Ball at least. Everyone knew that. So it's pretty on brand for it. But that's okay. I mean, listen, we're not going to get greedy. Anytime that you can get the chance to talk to them, we'll take it. Also, Smitty just says, fun fact, Arkansas Razorbacks have played in 27 states, most in the SEC. I don't know if that's football or basketball. I believe it too. Because you have to, every time you play a team outside of a home game, you have to leave the state. So,
dude, I think it was Arkansas Ole Miss. They've played in like 9 different locations or something crazy like that. They've played in like Memphis, Oxford, Little Rock, Fayetteville, Jonesboro. Like they have played in a bunch of different locations for some reason.
Yeah, I don't understand it either, but hey, whatever works. And I think it's funny too that in basketball, speaking of, with the schedule that continues to come out, just the places that I never thought Arkansas would play in and how cool it is. But it also still pisses me off because the places that they are playing, like the Barclays Center, in Chicago and all those things, knowing that those places are 100% going to be cooler and more fun than where they play in the NCAA tournament is really a bummer. It kind of reminds me of baseball when Arkansas plays in Arlington, and they're like down there. It's like, oh man, this is great. Well, just don't get used to it because this is literally going to be the nicest place that you play all year long, even in postseason. It's going to be the same thing with basketball. And I love it. I'm grateful for it. But, man, that's just such a bummer where you're like, man, I got to get to Chicago because I know I'm going to end up in frickin' Portland or Buffalo again in the postseason.
Dude, that reminds me. I think I'm officially on board with them doing a rotating College World Series. Move it around the country. I'm out on Omaha.
Wow. Okay.
Is it just because Arkansas has yet to win one there? Is that what it is?
No, it's just like, I don't know. Like, it was the second time I went this past year, and now that I've done it twice, I'm kind of like, does it have to be here every year?
Yeah. Listen, I've been saying that for a bit. I mean, I love Omaha, and I softened the stance a little bit, but I'm with you, man. It would just
back
be
against you when you said that, and I apologize.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, it's major college sports, especially with the ones that get bigger. What are the championship games and everything at? They're in major stadiums, major venues, and major cities. On the random occasion, I guess basketball will have like a Minneapolis or something. Nothing against Minneapolis, but just okay, cool, that's whatever. But
maybe we move the final series, like do Omaha,
and
then get to the title game, and then move the title game. They're the title series. That would actually be. Let's write a letter to somebody.
Yeah, do that. I mean, if I had my druthers, it would be where the NCAA tournament was held in on-campus venues instead of sites. But that's never going to happen. I mean, because you imagine NCAA tournament games in Bud Walton Arena similar to NCAA tournament games in Baum Walker, and what that would be like, the atmospheres. Never will happen, but again, we can dream. We can dream. Seth is already saying that I said Minneapolis wrong. Says it's Minneapolis. How do you say it?
Minneapolis.
Apparently
you threw an extra in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Yeah,
okay.
It's not Napolis.
Hey, did you know what I was talking about? Then okay, shut up. That's all that matters. You all knew what I was referring to. So, also, David just wanted to say that he is now known as Curtis Wolferson.
Because I got that dog in me.
There you go.
Hey, did y'all notice that it's a snake on Basis Health? Like that eye that's covered, there's like a little thing wrapping around there. That is a serpentine.
It's some kind of symbolism, right? Isn't that
I think it's for health. Actually, I'm not even going to try to guess because I know it's going to be wrong.
I noticed it today when you pulled it up on the big screen. I was like, wow.
Yeah, it means something health wise. And he said you need producer Michelle in here because I'm sure she has some knowledge of that.
She's right in front of me. She's whispering.
It's medical. Well, thank you, Michelle. Thank you. It's medical. So just know that. David's like, is it a Catholic thing? What is it? Sure. Yeah, well, go along with it. Jeez, man. Jeez. Okay, so are you guys ready to kill the vibes and kill the mood and talk football? You guys ready for this?
Yeah, we should have made that switch and then done our vibe check from Basis Health. So yeah, maybe we run it back and see how people feel. Yeah,
I wanted to keep the vibes high though, for as long as possible before we get into some football talk. But I did want to bring this up because, it's talking season list and everything. Me and Andrew talked about the rivalries, which we asked the poll question on Alumni Hall. We'll talk about that later. But I'm always pretty fascinated whenever they put out the coaches' hot seats. Everyone's pissed with Pittman and, not feeling good about him. Last year, CBS Sports is the one that, everyone has a list or some people do a list, but CBS has usually got their formula put into place, which is pretty interesting and comes out with a score. And you get rated between 0 and 5. And for all college football coaches, and 5 means win or be fired. Simple as that. So that's the one where you're at the hottest seat. 0 is the coolest seat. And last year, Sam Pittman was at 5. He was at win or be fired. He is no longer at 5. He's no longer at 5. In fact, there's only one coach who is at 5 in all of college football. And it's Sonny. I was going to ask you guys, but you're going to get it. It's Sonny Cumbie from Louisiana Tech. So,
you know how I feel about Sonny Cumbie.
Oh yeah,
that guy stinks, man.
Yep. So here's the deal: is Sam Pittman is of course on this list. He's in the 4 through 4.99 range, which is start improving now. That's what list he's made it on. But Surprisingly, he's not the highest rated coach with the hottest seat in the SEC. Who do you guys think has the hottest seat in the SEC according to this list?
Stoops.
Yes, I was going to say Stoops.
Not
Venables.
Stoops. Venables has the hottest seat. In fact,
Venables is probably fair because the standard is higher than Kentucky or Arkansas.
that's right. He is actually the second highest coach in all of college football. He's sitting at a 4.67. Trent Dilfer is sitting at a 4.44.
Trent Dilfer didn't get fired last year?
No. He's got to get some time to get his players in, Ellis. Come on. He's got to have some time. So you have him. Mike Gundy is at a 4.33 at Oklahoma State. Brent Brennan is at a 4.22 of Arizona. Hugh Freeze also at a 4.22 at Auburn.
Yeah, Brent Brennan's in like year 2, I think.
Yeah, it's not been long.
Like putting him right on the seat, man. Shit.
And tied with those two guys at 4.22 is Sam Pittman. And what they say about Sam Pittman in the quote is, out of the top hot seat contenders from last season, Pittman did the least to get away with concerns. A bowl berth, an exciting young quarterback, Taylon Green, was at least enough to earn Pittman another season, but navigating a non-conference matchup against Notre Dame and a brutal road schedule won't be easy. So what do you guys think of Sam Pittman being at the where he's at, comparatively speaking, but also his rating on the hot seat of college football coaches?
I mean, it sounds about right given like what we know about the expectations over there. So I think it's fair, because I felt like, tell me if I'm crazy, and a lot of people, this is going to piss a lot of people off. I feel like the seat is a little less hot going into this year than it was last year. It's just kind of the sense I got. Doesn't mean I necessarily feel that way personally, but just the vibe that I have there. And maybe it's because we saw like last year's results can get you another year. And so it's like, well, just, do that again or whatever. But then there's already the built-in stuff about, we got to really wait for revenue share to fully, take into effect, and the schedule's brutal and everything like that. So maybe it's just me, but I kind of feel like not all the heat, but a little bit of the heat is off.
I agree wholeheartedly, and with the way you worded it too. I'm glad you were able to do it better than I would have. But I think, like, compared to last year, like I went into last year saying I don't think Sam Pittman could survive a 4-8, 5-7 season. I didn't think he could, and I think if they hadn't made a bowl game, he probably would have been fired. I feel this year, I'm like, he might be able to survive a 4-8, 5-7 season. I don't think he should, and I don't know if he would, but I think it's possible. Whereas last year, I don't think it was possible. So I think that's representative from him going from 5 to 4.2. That's kind of about right. I think when you look at some of those other guys, I don't think you could really make a case Sam Pittman should be at the top of that list, or like the hottest seat in the country. I think nationally also, you look at it and you say, what's the expectation at Arkansas? Is Sam Pittman going to reach that expectation? And with how people view the program and how they view Sam Pittman, I think there's a lot of people who think Arkansas is probably not going to fire him unless it really hits the fan, which seems to be the case.
Well, I also agree with you guys, but I want to do a little story of what I compare this to. As you guys know, I'm the biggest fan of Houston Nutt. Houston Nutt is still the only coach in college football at Arkansas, and I'm pretty sure in all of major sports at Arkansas that has ever had back-to-back losing seasons and kept their job. Now, Sam Pittman didn't have back-to-back losing seasons. That's not my comparison. But I remember after the 2004 season when they went 5-6, and then the 2005 season when they went 4-7, everybody wanted him fired. They're like, okay, he's finally fired. He's done. But what saved him? A guy named Mitch Mustain, Gus Malzahn, the promise of getting better and hiring a different coordinator to call plays, and said, not to say that people were still thrilled about it, but it's like, okay, that made sense. So it reset a little bit of people's hot seat feeling towards Nutt. It reset it a little bit. But this is interesting to where everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but most people felt like after last season, like, okay, this is it. This is it. They're going to move on from Pittman. And when it didn't happen, on top of not having the crazy, like the Gus Malzahn, Mitch Mustain type thing to look forward to the next year, some sort of big excitement, some sort of big splash, anything like that, it reset the expectations and the hot seat in fans' minds, but for the wrong reasons. It's more of like, well, geez, if that didn't do it, then why would they do it this year? Kind of like what you said. If they went 4-8, 5-7, if they weren't serious about it last season, and they've already set themselves up of, in some cases, excuse making, and being like, well, this and this and this, then who's to say that anything will change if that ends up happening? And so that's what I find so fascinating, and goes with all the weird vibes of it all, is I think a lot of fans were like, after last season, if that didn't do it, if that didn't be like, all right, we need to change it up a little bit, then what's it going to take? We don't really know. So I feel the same way. I just don't feel like it's looking at what Arkansas has going on and saying, hey, it's this or go home and you're fired. It's more of, some people are just hoping that Sam Pittman retires. That's the feeling of that. If you're going to move on from Sam Pittman, people feel like that's a more likely scenario than him actually getting fired, which is weird.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. And there's also, and maybe it is a very vocal minority of the fan base. I think maybe it's more than that, but there seems to be a pretty hefty amount of folks who are expecting this to go pretty poorly, like a very bad season. And so if they're average again, you know what I mean? Like if they win 6 games and get to a bowl again, that would kind of exceed the expectations of those who are really, really down on the team. And then they have to choose at that point. Either you move the goalpost and you're still mad about it and the accepting mediocrity and all that, or you look at it and you go, God, they win 3 or 4 games. They won twice as many. So I guess give them another year. That could also factor into it. I get, for those who have really low expectations, it doesn't take a lot for you to be somewhat impressed with what winds up happening.
100%. I mean, the expectation is everything. That's why, I mean, the more I think about it, Venables makes 1,000% sense to be above Pittman, above Stoops, above all these guys who have had worse tenures, because the expectation is just higher. And so I think the fan base's expectation, I think national expectations are at an all-time low. And so the runway is kind of set up for Pittman to continue to survive. And I mean, listen, I think Hog fans, we talked the other day about how like Hog fans should go in, like, you never want to be that person that's cheering against your team. I think you gotta just ride this wave as long as you can. And the administration is going all in. And by the way, of course they are. You mentioned the resetting thing, John. So last year, that was kind of Arkansas's reset. Oh, well, we went 4-8, but we got by Petrino. So now we're resetting everything. You go 7-6 in the first year of the reset, and you had like your best attendance in a long time. I think the administration at Arkansas, I think they kind of feel like, all right, we're good. We don't have to fire Sam Pittman anytime soon. And they're going to feel that way for as long as they are allowed to feel that way. And so I do think like the expectation of the fan base, are people really going to be like rioting in the streets if they go 5-7? Probably not, because I don't think many people expect them to go better than 5-7.
Right. Well, and I think it's about precedent. I think it's just, you know what you know. And that's what a lot of fans base the mentality, whether it's right or wrong, on. Well, I remember this time in history, this coach did this and he got fired. So therefore, that's the precedent been set. I always felt that way with Jack Crow. No, that was a little before all of our time, but he got fired after game 2, I think, when they lost to the Citadel. And that set a precedent at Arkansas of like, hey, if there's a coach that loses 1 game early in the season to someone they're not, they're going to get fired. Well, it never happened again. So it's the same thing with this year. And that's what made it so weird, is fans put it into their own historical perspective of this past season, being like, well, what have I seen previously when coaches have been let go? What have we seen? Well, we feel like after back-to-back years of that performance and losing all the players and everything, that was a precedent for moving on. And when it didn't happen, now there's going to be this new precedent set where, if they get a new coach and years from now, they're like, oh, well, this guy went 4-8 and 6-6. He should be fired. Well, guys, maybe not, because remember Pittman back then, they didn't fire him after that time. So it's all about what you know, and historically speaking, of what you're used to. That's the big difference there too. So, we'll get to more of that discussion too, because I think there is also actually, I want to bring this up real quick before we get to our heavy hitters and the rest of the chat. It's not as big of a talking point, but CBS also came out with their top 25 worst coaching hires of this century in college football of all time. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at this list, then we'll go through it. But just out of curiosity, we all know which one we're looking at. Where do you think Chad Morris ranked on this list for this century?
He's not 1.
He is not 1.
What number is he? 3?
He is 4.
Wow.
I'll give you this hint. 2 coaches tied for 1 that never coached a game for their school. They got hired, but never coached a single game. I'll go ahead and tell you. Mike Price at Alabama. Remember him?
Oh, how far back are we going, by the way?
The century since 2000.
Oh, okay. I don't know why in my brain I was like thinking very recent.
No. Mike Price of Alabama, because he was the one that used the company credit card to get hookers. Can't do that in a hotel. So you had him and Michael Haywood of Pittsburgh. I don't even remember that. I don't even remember that whole thing. But either way,
there's nothing that man could have done, Michael Hayward, that was worse than Chad Morris's transgressions.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what I'm saying. But again, Chad Morris is he's number 4. Number 3, guys, this is someone who actually coached at Arkansas as an assistant coach. And I believe we all either were here for it. Maybe we covered it. I don't know. I'm not going to say that. But either way, he's a guy who coached at Arkansas for a little bit. And he was at Southern Miss. I don't know if you guys are going to guess this one.
Partridge?
No. Ellis Johnson.
Oh, Ellis Johnson. Did he go 0-12 in his 1 year or something like that?
Yep.
Well,
Yeah. But what was funny is about because I didn't realize it. He inherited a team that went 12-2 the year before and returned like the majority of the starters and went 0-12.
And Southern Miss, by the way, is like a pretty decent program. Like they've had pretty consistent, competitive success. 0-12 is crazy.
Yeah, that's rough. But then Chad Morris is listed. Now, if I guess we could say Chad Morris is the worst coach that ever got more than 1 year in college football history. So
I think he's also got to be the worst, like high profile. Now, I don't know if you consider Arkansas, but like at a major conference program, got to be the worst, like actual hire. Because like John L. Smith was a horrible hire, but there was obviously things that led to that. Chad Morris, like they had they made a decision to go with that guy, and like they felt like that was a good decision. John L. Smith was kind of a thing, but like I'm trying to think of a worse, because again, you have like Mississippi State having to hire that one guy because Mike Leach died, or Ole Miss having to hire Matt Luke or whatever. Every other horrible coaching hire like had a reason for it. There was no reason for Chad Morris. That was like just a decision that Arkansas made.
Well, I'm gonna throw this one at you guys too. There is one team in the SEC that has 2 coaches listed on this list in the top 10. Which school do you think that is as far as having
Bama,
2?
I guess?
Which one?
Bama?
No.
Tennessee.
Dooley and
Pruitt
was pretty bad. Yeah. And then he left him with allegations and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and round out the top 10 list. Charlie Weiss at Kansas is number 5. We all remember big Charlie Weiss. Ty Willingham at Washington is number 6. Pruitt is number 7. Les Miles at Kansas is number 8. Never forget. When that dude started dyeing his hair when he got up to Kansas, I'm like, okay, you're toast, dude. You're cooked. Ron Turner at FIU is number 9. And then Derek Dooley is there at Tennessee. So at number 11 or number 10. So, yeah, I was trying to think of any other, like, shout out to any coaches of note real quick. Ones at least we may remember or for random reasons, but like Willie Taggart at Florida State was 15. Shout out to Kevin Sumlin at Arizona, 17, as well as our guy Quinn. Sorry, Quinn. Brian Harsin was at number 19 of the worst coaching hires made. Charlie Strong at 20 at Texas. That was bad. Chris Ash, former Razorback defensive coordinator at Rutgers, is number 21. And yeah, that was pretty much it. So anyways, just a nice little fun list there that you all can go back to saying, hey, at least you only had 1 coach on there, not 2. So silver linings, all of that great stuff. So, man, I love talking season. Let's go ahead and get into who our heavy hitters are, presented by our friends over at HD Roofing and Construction. We know storms can hit unexpectedly. And just like yesterday, it was hitting, and people were probably having some problems with their roof. They're like, why is my roof leaking? Well, you didn't get it inspected by HD Roofing and Construction. And that's why you need to have them check it out today, because they can get you that free inspection that'll give you a free peace of mind. And when you choose HD Roofing, you can rely on that professionalism, top quality materials, expert installation for all of your roofing needs. You can give them a call today at 501-428-0429, or you can also scan that QR code and it'll take you to their website at hdarkansas.com. It's HD Roofing and Construction. Professionalism, integrity, teamwork, and hard working. All right. So getting into our heavy hitters for today, guys. I wish I could play this video for my heavy hitter, but I can't. But it was pretty cool last night. How about the Phillies having a 3-run inside the park home run walk-off? I mean, you know, baseball has so many games and it's been around forever. You think you see everything. You think you've seen it all. You think that something historical is never going to happen again or whatever. I don't know. It's not like a significant game, but I just don't know if we'll ever see something like that happen in a Major League Baseball game where you get not just an inside the park home run, a 3-run inside the park home run, walk off to win the game when you're down 2 runs. That was pretty awesome last night.
By the way, it was the Giants who did it to the Phillies.
Oh, sorry, yeah,
they were in San Francisco. My buddy was actually at that game. John, he was at the game. He went to the last 2 games of that series. That's crazy. It was also the catcher, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
it's kind of funny, you know, a lot of times when guys get walk-offs that aren't home runs or whatever, like they'll round first and then they'll run all the way out into the outfield and the team will chase them down for the little dog pile or whatever. That was not a thing after that dude had to hoof it for the entire round in the bases for the inside the park home run. He's like, fine, take me down, man. That's pretty impressive.
I blame the center fielder. Just the worst. Now, it also was a brutal bounce because it hit in right center and bounced all the way to left center. But I mean, the center fielder didn't even come close to making a play on it. By the way, the batter kind of almost pimped it a little bit. I think he thought it was going to go over the fence off the bat, and then after a second or two, after a split second, took off running. But that was a crazy one.
Yeah. Also, real quick too, I'm going to be this guy. You know, if Arkansas ever loses in Omaha again, it's going to be off of that. It's going to be in that type of way. It's going to be brutal.
That park is built for inside the Parkers.
It's a very likely outcome to a College World Series experience for Arkansas.
I mean, it almost happened, like literally.
Yeah.
It was like one weird bounce away from happening the other day.
Yeah.
If the ball just went over our man instead of hitting him in the shoulder or whatever, it probably would have.
If it would have bounced right, if Justin Thomas had come over and then it bounced right past him, we would have been in that territory.
Gosh.
How fun is it to talk about that? All right. But that's my heavy hitter. Curtis, what you got?
A couple. Like I feel like I've got to give an honorable heavy hitter to the U of A and John Calipari. I mean it sincerely. And the only reason that we heat him up every single day about like, gosh, put out something, man. Like, can we get Carter Knox shooting a free throw? Anything, please. It's really because we love the program, man. And it took them a while, but they really did capture the hearts of the fan base, and everybody was just so dialed into that run that they made at the end of last season. People don't want to wait until November. Just give us a little bit of taste. And the people spoke, and Cal and the U of A listened, and it's very, very cool. So happy that they put out that clip yesterday. That was awesome. Really, really happy that Cal is opening things up today. So kudos to them from that standpoint. And then the other one, I just saw this and I wanted to bring it up. It's kind of a combo of John Calipari, but also Bruce Pearl, and not because Bruce Pearl is running for governor or senator or whatever the hell those rumors are. We'll have to ask Quinn about that. But he was having a back and forth with Dan Dakich about summer college basketball seasons and having these tournaments. And it's something that, and Bruce Pearl credited him. He said, I love that idea. Coach Calipari has been talking about this for years. And then once every 4 years, when teams can make a foreign tour, take that foreign trip, let's get the league networks to televise those experiences. So I remember asking Eric Musselman about this at SEC Media Day a few years ago, because it got brought up because of Cal, and was talking about to raise NIL, having like a July or whatever, just little 4-team tournaments at some campus, and get a network to pick it up, raise some NIL, and get some exposure for your teams and everything like that. And I understand the injury risk involved, and all those things that you would have to, the hurdles that you'd have to cross. You've only had your team for a couple weeks. The more basketball, the better. And, like if you're going to be on campus practicing for 8-10 weeks, whatever it is, it'd be nice if you could at least play somebody else. Like, it just keeps you motivated. It makes you work a little bit harder. So I'm all for it. And I had forgotten all about that conversation. I wrote a whole story about it. I think it was either 2 or 3 years ago. And I like to see this generating some steam again. I hope it becomes a thing.
It definitely should be a thing. I mean, listen, collegiate summer league baseball has become one of my favorite things in this life, where it's just like every summer there's very low stakes. There's not like, it's not a huge deal where it's like going to change the world, but it's just cool to see these guys develop over the offseason, because a lot of times, and obviously with the transfer portal in this day and age, it's hard, but it's like you're trying to project your roster and have these conversations, and it's like you just don't know what it's going to look like. You know what I mean? And so being able to have those guys go out there and play and us see it and to just see that development happen in real time, it's a lot better than, the AAU tournaments they were used to playing in. So it's like, I feel like it's cool.
Yeah. Also, real quick to that point, I think that if the big time programs or maybe in the conferences should do like when they did in COVID, where they was just like the NCAA was like, you guys can't do this. Like, no, we're just going to do it. I just do that. Just like Cal and Arkansas and Auburn and Bruce Pearl just get together. Back. Yeah, screw you guys. We don't care what you're doing. We're going to have this game. We're going to have it here. We'll have Inside Arkansas live stream it. We'll let them do the commentary. I'll do play-by-play. Ellis, you can do color. And, Curtis is going to be down there in the mix, coaching with his tie on. He's going to be who's the guy that tragically passed away that was on the NBA on TNT sidelines with the Craig Sager. Yeah, we'll have all of us together. It'll be great. Actually, maybe Curtis be his color commentator, and you be wearing the crazy suits, Andrew, down on the side.
You want me to be the guy that dies? That's what you want?
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what I wanted you to get out of that.
Yeah, that's why you made the switch. You were like, who would I rather have die? Andrew.
You are the Marty Smith of this operation.
That's true. That's true.
I am from the South, so
that's true.
The good old southern state of Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
So my heavy hitter is a company that we've spoken about on this podcast recently. Rotten Tomatoes is my heavy hitter. They're back, buddy. They're back. Semi-jokingly. So the other day I ranted about how mad I was at Rotten Tomatoes just because, and I really do kind of still feel this way, that like it's just no longer a usable metric because there's always agendas being pushed and things that are happening. And, they really shit on the Jurassic World movie that I liked. So I was mad at them. The early reviews for Superman have come out. By the way, have y'all been seeing like the trailers and stuff that have been all over the place?
Yep.
It pique your interest any, Curtis? You've been seeing Superman on your telly?
No.
Okay. I mean,
Not yet.
I asked seriously because I was like, I don't know how, if it's, I never know because I'm in my little nerd bubble, but I don't know what makes it to like the real world and how many people see the same things I see. And so, I like to gauge with Curtis because I feel like he's a good test case.
Lately, my TV's either been on ESPN or Hallmark. So
yeah,
I don't know if that's really where they run the.
I think if you keep watching ESPN, they will eventually show you a Superman trailer of like, hey, It's out now. Go check it out. But the initial, I guess it was Tuesday night or maybe Monday night at like 9 p.m. They have this like weird thing when the movie comes out and it's about to premiere. They have like an embargo where people that see it at early screenings can't say anything about it until a certain time. And it was like 9 p.m. on Monday night. And at 9 p.m. on Monday night, there was just an influx of people being like, this movie is awesome. This is the greatest thing. And of course, it's people that have gone to these early screenings that were probably going to like it, like me. Like if DC reached out to me and asked me to come to the movie, I would 1000% be like, no, it's the best movie ever. I love this. But the initial reviews are in very, very high for Superman. Got an 85% from the critics, 96% from just normal people. So if like 96% of the 1,000+ normal people that have seen it have given it a positive review, I like that. I like that a lot. By the way, I see Michelle saying, at what point do sequels get old? Well, I got good news for you, Michelle. They're rebooting the whole franchise. This is the one. You don't have to have seen anything before this. This is a new Superman. I can't even pronounce the guy's name. It's like David Cronenworth or Cronenworth. I don't know. But he's the new Superman, and I'm gonna go see how it is. It's the guy who directed the Guardians movie, so I'm excited about that. So I'm looking forward to that. But also, my heavy hitter is just the box office in general. I mentioned Jurassic World made a ton of money over the weekend. Superman, I would imagine, should make a lot of money. Now, will it make $1 billion? I don't know. But like, if you can't make money off Superman, then what are you doing? The Minecraft movie almost made $1 billion. Lilo and Stitch almost made $1 billion. The movie theaters are back in full force. It's good to have some summer blockbusters. We got Fantastic Four coming in a couple of weeks, so the nerds are happy. I love that cinema has been rejuvenated because after COVID, there really was a stretch where I was like, are we going to get to a point where like the movie theaters are no longer a thing? That was a very real thing, especially with streaming and all that. I'm glad to see the box office still living and breathing.
Yeah, and I'll also say I heard that the new Superman movie does not have the classic Superman theme song though, like the John Williams score. I don't know. I'm gonna have to take it off a little bit of the scores.
Well,
there.
they usually, they usually switch up. Like you can't just sometimes they'll play like little notes from it, but like they're gonna have a different guy do the music for a movie.
Well, then I'm out. I'm not listening. I'm not watching.
They did Hans Zimmer last time, and it was great.
He's the only.
The movie was bad.
He's the only acceptable person that I'll allow to replace John Williams for the theme song. So Yeah, there you go. Real quick before we get into our summer topics too, wanted to get to a couple super chats here. Razorback says, did John really just say Minneapolis wasn't a big city? No, I did not say that. I just said it was not a fun city compared to like New York City or Chicago or Vegas or somewhere like that. So
you don't like winter?
Yeah, I don't like winter. I don't like going to. There's nothing historical about. Man, I can't wait to see where the Timberwolves play. Like, there's nothing cool about that element. So either way, that's what I meant. And then Whitty just comes in with a super chat. He says, "There's only one true Superman, Henry Cavill." All right,
I thought Henry Cavill did a decent job, but I think we'll see how this new cat does.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and do a summer topic discussion here on the show, presented by our friends over at Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas, where they're giving you access to boats without the commitment, getting out on the water, whether it's the lake or the river. They're going to help you out because it's boating that fits your lifestyle. It's fun, it's flexible, and it's stress-free. They take care of the boat. That's one of the biggest reasons why people may be money, but also about, say, if I got a boat, I got to pay for this slip, I got to clean it, I got to have maintenance on it, I got to winterize it. It's a costly endeavor. Well, don't worry about it. Let Freedom Boat Club take care of that for you. All you got to worry about is showing up, getting on the boat, having a good time, bringing it back, and there you go. That's all you got to do. They got 3 locations in Arkansas to be a part of this club. It's Greers Ferry Lake, Lake Hamilton down there in Hot Springs, or even on the river in Little Rock. Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas will help make your summer in the natural state the best one yet. So check out their website at freedomboatclubar.com. That's freedomboatclubar.com to learn more about the benefits of joining Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas. Okay, so real quick, a few of these summer top questions, then we'll have, closing up shop and get to some of your chats too. But this can be from any sport. I put these up on Twitter, but sports question, guys. What is your favorite play from a Razorback loss in all of sports? Like, just something that when you think about it, like, man, that was an awesome play in that moment, but then Arkansas still ended up losing.
As soon as I read that, what immediately jumped out to me is a few years ago, the 9-win season, Arkansas at Bama, Sam Pittman, Scott Fountain special, the fake punt to our man Blake Kern for the touchdown, made it a 1-score game, and it was like, and then it panned over to Sam Pittman, and he was just like, hell yeah, the big smile on his face. That was the peak of Sam Pittman's powers, and for about the next 90 seconds, I thought Arkansas had a chance to actually win that game. It was pretty incredible. So
3 hours, I don't know, maybe 4 hours. Arkansas was competitive with Alabama. That really was a very good moment, Curtis, and I'm glad you said that, because, by the way, that game also had the Traylon Burks like outrunning the entire Alabama defense play, which I feel like is one that like was kind of just jarring to watch. But Arkansas went into Tuscaloosa and gave Bama everything they could ask for. Bryce Young ended up throwing for 560 yards, and they needed every freaking yard of it. That was one of my favorite games of the Sam Pittman era, honestly. So good call on that one. The one that sticks out to me is 2006, Darren McFadden. I believe it was an 80-yard first play of the drive touchdown run in War Memorial. And you could listening when you go back and watch the video, which it's super grainy footage, when he like breaks through the second line of the secondary and you can tell he's gonna go to the house. The roar mid-play is just like one of the best mid-play roars I think I've ever seen. I've got several, honestly, though. John, what do you have off the top of your head?
Well, you must have read my tweet because you literally stole mine, but that's okay. But it was a great play. The reason that just to add to that, why it's my favorite is obviously because of, it's Darren McFadden running for all the reasons you said. But when he hits that secondary against the LSU defense, that safety, I forgot his name, but you can tell he thinks he's got an angle and he's like, oh, crap. And he just dives to try to get him. And he's not even close. He's just gone. So one of my favorites. One I wanted to throw in, though, I see it pop up on my Instagram sometimes, but also in a different Alabama game, which they always lost to Alabama. But how about the onside kick?
Yes,
against Bama and Fayetteville with the old boy that's at the Lions now. What the kicker's name? That was at Arkansas.
Bates.
What's that?
Jake Bates.
Yes, thank you, Jake Bates. Where it was still like the greatest onside kick I've ever seen. Like, it's the greatest onside kick I've ever seen, because onside kicks are tough, and you see people roll the dice, and sometimes it works, it doesn't. But to have him kick it, the blockers go perfectly in. He outruns the ball. He sits there. He's right there. I mean, could not execute it any more perfect than that. That's definitely one. And I try, man, I could think of a few too. A lot of them are football related though, but
there's not many basketball. I've been sitting here trying to think of basketball. I can't think of an example of like a cool basketball moment that was ruined by a loss.
Yeah, I can't either, really. I mean, I was thinking about Arkansas's NCAA tournament losses, and if there was like a moment in there or whatever, and not really. One from the Baylor game that I remember was Moses Moody getting a breakaway, and he got the bucket, and it cut that deficit to 4. And I just remember you could just feel everybody in Lucas Oil kind of shifting in their seat, like, is this really going to happen? But then next thing you know, they were back up 15 or whatever. So it was just like a fleeting moment. One of my personal favorites, they got really lost in the sauce there because they were getting their ass kicked. But when Jalen Williams put Paolo Banchero in the rim, that was fun.
Yeah, I was going to throw in again, like those are much bigger deals. But I remember as a student, I think it was Mike Anderson's first year, Brandon Mitchell, the quarterback, posterizing Terrence Henry of Ole Miss. Like the quarterback, they needed depth, so he just comes over there. Like first game or second game he plays, he goes in and literally posterizes that guy. I was in the student section for it, and from then on, for the rest of the game, we started chanting "Terrence Henry has a mangina," and he ended up getting the last laugh because they won. But still, that one was also one that I remember Arkansas having in basketball having that play too.
I do love that every two-way guy that played basketball, like a football basketball guy, Monk, Brandon Mitchell, and Matt Jones, not Jeremiah Ledbetter, but those 3 guys were like some of the best dunkers we've ever seen at Arkansas. Like, it is kind of hilarious that like all the football guys that play basketball were like just unreal dunkers. I've got a few. So football, a few that came to my brain. Jerry Franklin, I believe it was, in 2011 against LSU, had that fumble 6.
No, that was Alonzo Highsmith.
Alonzo Highsmith. Oh my God. Who came back the next year and was supposed to be like the linebacker of the year. Great call. And it was the guy who fumbled it was Michael Ford, who was from my hometown. So shout out to Michael Ford. Tried to do his best to give Arkansas.
Bam. Yeah. No, that was a great one too. Yeah. Alonzo Highsmith Jr. Not to be confused with his dad. But yeah, that was a great one. What was the other one, Ella?
His dad played Arkansas?
No. But his dad played at Miami. He was like a Hall of Famer. But anyways.
The next section I have are home runs in season-ending losses. Jace Borfin hit a cool 3-run home run against TCU that gave Arkansas the lead before the TCU wound up scoring like 10 more runs and winning that game. Ryder Helfrich hit a home run against LSU, which is pretty cool. But Justin Thomas Jr.'s 2-run single in the 9th, that felt like a special moment that we'll just never get to remember how we felt in that moment. But in that moment, it did feel like a big deal.
All right, so moving on to the food aspect of this. What is your guilty pleasure fast food restaurant? And now just to clarify for people what guilty pleasure, it's basically one of those, how I classify it is, if someone saw you, a friend of yours saw you in the drive-thru at this restaurant, you would be like, oh, crap, this person saw me type of thing, eating this food. So what is your guilty pleasure fast food restaurant?
I don't...
I'm the worst person to ask because I eat fast food so often. Like,
I
don't even know if I can call it a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
Well, somebody like, so I'll give you an example. Mine was Sonic. And the reason being is because people go to Sonic for drinks and everything. I like their food. Don't ask me why. And I go there often. But I would say, this is nothing against this fine establishment, but I would say KFC, I don't go to, but I could consider that as a guilty pleasure because if someone saw me there, they'd be like, why are you going to KFC when you got Slims and Cane's and all these other chicken places that are better? Why are you going there? Like that type of thing, I think would be there.
I just remember. So I see a lot of people saying Arby's, and Arby's, by the way, like I'm a huge Arby's guy. I love Arby's. They have the meats. Here's why I know it's the answer. Y'all know Tusk Talk with Ty Hudson. I saw him in the Arby's drive-thru. I was right behind him in the drive-thru. And by the way, I know it was him because he's a very large guy in a very small car. Y'all know the car he drives. He's the only person in that car that is his size. And then I brought it up to him when I saw him the next time, and he denied it. He was like, "No, dude, I don't eat Arby's. No, I didn't go to Arby's." And I'm like, "Buddy, I saw you at Arby's. Like I was behind you in line." Like, and he's like, "No, I didn't." And he straight up denied it. Still to this day would deny it.
Well, I'll also throw in Long John Silver's. That's one that's a tough look.
Guilty pleasure.
Yeah, that is a tough look.
Do they have a Long John Silver's or a Captain D's or anything up here?
They do. I believe they used to have the Long John Silver's. I used to go as a kid sometimes. Oof, No wonder I was fat. But they used to have one right there on College. It shut down years ago. I think they have a Captain D's in Springdale still, though. I'm pretty sure. I've never been to a Captain D's.
Does Little Caesars count? I mean, it's not fast food, but it's fast pizza.
I'd count it.
I that would probably be mine, honestly.
Yeah.
You got all the other spots you can go to. I've messed with Little Caesars a lot.
Is McDonald's like the ultimate fast food? I mean, it's the ultimate fast food, but it's the ultimate guilty pleasure. Like nobody's ever been like proud of the decision they made to eat McDonald's.
No, I know that's the case because one of my favorite comedians, Jim Gaffigan, did a skit on that where he was just like, everyone's seeing your McDonald's and you see someone and you're like, oh crap. It's like, what are you doing here? It's like, oh, I'm here to use the dollar ATM. What are you doing here? Oh, I'm just meeting a hooker. It's like, just trying to give any reason of why you're not there to eat it. But
so have y'all ever had like an awkward encounter with someone who is like your best friend that you shouldn't have awkward encounters with? Like I had one of those at McDonald's though, with one of my like closest friends, like might be my best man in my wedding. Saw him in the McDonald's drive-thru and like we both were kind of like, like doing that.
I've never had that. I mean, I haven't yet, but I want to say though, Michelle's kind of calling you out, Curtis. She says, "When's the last time you went to Little Caesars?"
Well, I'm married to your ass, so I don't go anywhere.
Yeah, they don't have gluten-free at Little Caesars. Also, they need Little Caesars closer to like they need one on MLK. Honestly,
yeah. How the hell do you want me to answer that question? I don't go anywhere unless you're out of town. I'm not allowed to.
Ooh. I'm just trying to fuel that fire.
Some of the best meals Curtis and I have ever shared together have been the night after Michelle leaves town and we just pig out somewhere.
It's the only time I'm not eating like an herbivore. So
I was gonna say like you're eating kale and like I don't know. Nothing against it, Michelle. Don't get mad at me, but I just always had this assumption that you just eat kale shakes every day. I don't know if that's true. But I just
Stegosaurus out here, man. It's crazy. Not really. What did we eat last? Oh, we ate kava last night, so that kind of fits the description. But
kava is classic herbivore food.
Gosh. Oh man. Jeez. By the way, Dakota just says, y'all remember A&W restaurants? I miss those frozen mugs and root beer. I don't think I ever went to one, but I do remember them. All right. And finally, for the entertainment side of things, if you could be on the cover of a magazine, which magazine would you want it to be?
This is a tough
The Body Issue.
That's what I said too. Yep.
Yeah.
I would just go, not ESPN. I would just go Sports Illustrated. I don't know why I would be on Sports Illustrated, but growing up, Sports Illustrated was my shit, and I loved it. And I always admired the people that were on the cover. Like, it was always a big deal. Like, oh, this guy's on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I remember I vividly remember the first LeBron Sports Illustrated cover I had, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I remember Bryce Harper being on there at 16 years old. I was like, wow, Bryce Harper on like this high school kid's on the cover of Sports Illustrated. So I would want it for just that nostalgia standpoint, but I don't think Sports Illustrated exists anymore, does it?
Not to that extent. I don't think so. I don't know what magazines exist anymore, really. I'm sure they do.
Slam magazine would be a good one.
Slam would be a great one.
Yeah.
I would. I'll do the swimsuit edition of Sports Illustrated.
There we go.
I'll do. I mean, the Body Issue would be mine, just because that. But I probably should say like, hey, Forbes. It'd be probably cool because that means you're doing something.
Yeah, that would be a good thing.
30 or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be all right. I probably should have said that instead. Just like, just one I can get naked and show it off.
Rolling Stone.
Y'all remember when Prince Fielder did the Body Issue?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Vince Wilfork. You remember that? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of pixels they had to put in that camera. So it was that was rough. Yeah. The Body Issue is one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, and then you're like one of those, you're like, oh, okay. Just kept turning the page. Not doing it for anybody. Not doing it for anybody. So but yeah, I'd be down for any of those magazines.
Shout out to BJ Young, says Hogs Illustrated.
That'd be the number one.
We could probably get Christina to do us a favor and put us on there, right?
I think so.
Yeah, why not? I mean, who else are they going to put on there?
We are fans in the stands, so
it's true.
Get interviewed.
It's true. I need to sit down talking about our journeys.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. All right. So we just got a few minutes here because we got a practice to go to. We got big business to take care of. But I really wanted Curtis's take on this because I know we talked about it, but just for our Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by Alumni Hall, your ultimate Razorback shopping experience. You can shop them online at InsideArkansas.com/Alumni Hall. Use code HOGS by 20 for 20% off your purchase. Curtis, who would you say is Arkansas's biggest rival in college football?
They don't have one.
Right. That's the point. But if you had to say somebody,
They don't beat teams enough for me to even consider it. A lot of the teams that Arkansas fans might think are rivals, it's not considered that way the other way around. I would like to say Missouri because I hate them, but you never beat them, so I can't say that. I don't know.
Help me push this.
I don't know. Like I really don't know.
well, I'll tell you this. It's one of the closest voting. I think it might be the closest voting with the most votes that I've ever had on this question, because I simply asked the question and then I put Texas, LSU, Missouri, or other, and you could list it. Because this is what was the top 100 college football rivalries yesterday on The Athletic that we talked about. Guys, 42.1% say Texas, 42% even say LSU.
Wow.
So you're talking about right there. And
neither one of those, it's not reciprocal with either one of those programs. It's crazy.
I know. And that's why I put rival in quotes, because I'm like, I know it's not going to be the case. So, but yeah, you have that. Missouri's at 10.5%, and then other listed is at 5.5%, which of course, once again, no one listed. That's why I love that. You know, it's just other. Okay, who it is? Don't care. It's just somebody else. All right, cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. So, anyways, that is the question of the day there. And then before we get out of here, we will get to a few final chats. Presented by our friends over at BetSaracen's #1 sports betting app in the state of Arkansas. It's not even close. Got all the future bets. Get in on it right now. You can download the app on your iPhone or on your Android, or you can check them out online at BetSaracen.com. So a few things real quick. John Sullivan says, do y'all know the out-of-conference games that there are scheduled for next year? I assume football. And in 2026, I believe next year you go to Utah. Pretty sure that's what it is. It's 2026, you go to Utah. 2028, you have them back here. 2027, you have Oklahoma State here. 2029, you have Notre Dame at Notre Dame. So hopefully that answers that question. We also got, I like David just says, can we clarify what makes someone a heavy hitter? It's just whoever's doing something or somebody or something that's doing something cool. How about that?
Whoever's hitting it heavily.
Yes. He's doing big things. Also, Hayden says, Curtis Torres put out an 1.5 hour long compilation of all of his reactions to Arkansas additions in the offseason. Was cool to flashback to the moment of reactions. You should do that.
Okay.
It's going to be a lot longer than an 1.5 hours.
There's only like 3 live streams that we did because Pringle and Ewan happened on the same day, and then they got the 2 other guys way later. But yeah.
And finally, Johnny Jones says, did fall camp happen today? I've seen some footage of them on the field. No, it did not.
Yeah, no, fall camp did not happen today. They do
off-season
workouts.
Keep it in your pants. A few weeks, man. August 1st. They're going to get rolling.
They didn't just do a sneak attack fall camp. They're like, bitches, today's just football practice.
Yeah, they were out there. They're just doing summer conditioning and stuff. But yeah, official fall camp will open next month.
Am I tripping, or is it like a thing where like the actual coaches aren't allowed to be out there?
I think it's true for the most part. I think it's just like the strength and conditioning staff and stuff.
I know there's like weird rules where like, obviously they're doing it here or whatever. But I remember back in the day, it was like one of those things where they would ask coaches about it. And they're like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Saw they were all wearing those catapults. So we'll hear from Ben Souders about all the 20-mile-an-hour Razorbacks.
The freaks are coming out tonight. I've heard they're gonna get back in the stadium and do that. So that's exciting.
It's always it really is my favorite press conference of the fall camp every year. I would rather hear from Ben Souders than Bobby Petrino and Travis Williams and Pittman, all of them.
I want to hear from the guy with the mustache twirl, that guy, whoever that guy is on the strength and conditioning. He's like the assistant strength and conditioning coach. That guy's always
something like that.
He's always fired up.
That's our favorite guy, man. We like just there's sometimes I'll go to practice and I don't even watch the team. I just watch him get after it because he just shouts random catchphrases at people.
That's right. Well, guys, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Oh man, my final thoughts are to stay tuned and be on the lookout for the Pot the Palace to go live later this afternoon at 5-ish. I don't know. Press conferences are at 3:30. This could be one where John Calipari speaks for a while. He doesn't do it after games, but this could be one where he takes a half hour, got a couple players, I get back home. So I'm shooting for 5-ish. And when I get back, I'll throw an update in the chat, but come hang out. Listen to me and anyone else who wants to join me talk about the practice today and answer all your questions. Should be fun. Looking forward to it.
Well, shoot. check out Curtis's Pot at the Palace. It's going to be a good one. And yesterday, Andrew had on his boy Carson Brumbaugh. He's from Oklahoma. I'm from Oklahoma, too, so I like listening to that. He's going to be a good ball player at Arkansas, so be sure you tune into the content.
There you have it. Well, appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in Inside Arkansas Live. Be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas. You can check out all of our audio podcasts wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pot at the Palace, or the Bombastic Podcast. You can also follow us on social media at Inside Arkansas as well. So that'll do it for us today. For Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbor. Same sports show, same sports channel. Tomorrow at noon, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you at 5 o'clock around-ish, 5 o'clock for Pot at the Palace post-practice report. See you then.